Welcome back. Today we're going to look at a couple of options to try to keep our Kawasaki Versys X300 from sustaining a lot of humidity or condensation, both inside the crankcase, inside the engine, and on the bike itself. When bikes are left outside, that's kind of bad, even with a cover on it. You know, things eventually just take a hit from just from the atmosphere, all the moisture out there. I'm lucky enough to have my bike in a garage, but then that leads to another, less frequent, but another, condensation problem. We're going through a pretty severe winter, and for the last month, rarely has it been above 32 degrees, above freezing. So there's less of a chance of wild temperature swings. But now today is the first time we've been able to kind of breathe. The snow outside's melting, the ice is disappearing off the road for the first time in a couple of weeks, and we've just been dipping Fahrenheit wise down to zero. But where that leads to is when your bike is in a garage, which mine is, it's under the cover. What happens is when the garage is cold overnight, let's say it gets down to 20 degrees or 10, and then in the daytime it heats up, and then the first thing we do, is we open the door up, and it might, like today it's 56 degrees outside, which is unbelievable. We haven't seen 40s in weeks, but today it's 56. Well, that moisture out there in the air, because the air holds a lot more moisture at 56 degrees, will come into the garage, and it hits the bike. It just literally, cold will just seep underneath the cover, but so will heat, so you get warm air that circles into your garage, and the first thing it does is it finds all this cold metal, cold cabinets, cold cars, cold bike. But I've got my bike under a cover, but the cover, all that does is pretty much just stagnate the air as well. But anyways, the warm air will get under there, and the first thing you see is your bike is literally just dripping wet. Everything cold on the bike, all the metal parts especially, not the seat, but the metal. It just is completely like somebody sprayed it with water. It's incredible. So we're going to take a look at what I've come up with. It's been under test now for quite a while, and it's actually working really well. We're going to take a look at what it's going to take to keep the air underneath this cover a little warmer than the ambient temperature in here, a little by, 10 degrees or so, with a small heater. And I've got it running under there. It's been running under the cover, and I'll show you how all this works and what my thought process to come up with the solution that, first of all, won't break the bank on high electric bills, but just enough power to keep this bike from getting soaked every time the garage door is open on a warm day through this period of time now that we're coming in the spring. So off to the top secret lab. So here we are down in Dave's top secret lab, high-tech lab. And what I want to do is just briefly go over some of the choices that I had, or some of the choices that I came up with in the way of a heater. You can surmise that a too big of a heater like this one, this is an old heater we've had here for quite a while. It's got a thermostat, which is good, so you can dial in when you want that thing to come on, as far as temperature wise. But at 1320 watts, it's just too big for the job. I mean, you're gonna catch your bike cover on fire or something. It's just not a good idea. The next choice was just a little tiny heater, but these little ones, this is only a 250 watt, but this one I got like on a local marketplace on Facebook. It was like $5 for a 250 watt heater, but there's no thermostat, so it's going to be on all the time, and I didn't like that either. So what I came up with is this is a thermostatically controlled. It's from a company called Hoffman, and I'm familiar with Hoffman because they do a lot of industrial enclosures. This unit here is a heater that is put inside of an enclosure in cold climates. I think this is the one I got from South Dakota. I don't know if you know anything about South Dakota or North Dakota and the USA. That's like an ice box up there in those states. I'm not too far away, but farther east. So this is a Hoffman Enclosure heater. They come in different flavors. This I chose because it's 400 watts. When it's on, you can hear a fan running, and the fan is one of these. I actually had to buy one. Long story short, the unit that I bought used off of eBay for not a lot of money. It was like 40 some dollars. I can show you those as well. But when I got it, the fan didn't work. So what I did is I got in contact with the seller, and he didn't have any more and didn't really know what to do with me. So he just simply gave me a refund. So I got the heater for $0, but it had a fan that didn't work in it. You have to have there's only like 3 pieces. There's a coil, a thermostat, and a fan and contacts. I mean, this thing is so simple. That's why it's industrial. That's why they're bomb proof most of the time. But the fan died. Who knows how long this thing had been in service. So again, I got on eBay, bought an exact duplicate or the exact OEM fan to replace the one that was in the unit. I got this for $9.99, 10 bucks, and I'm in business. So this is actually a spare. This one here came later. I bought a second one, again for 40 some dollars, because I was buying this one at the same time. I'm trying to go through the original one and trying to source a fan, and I didn't know where that was going to end up, so I ended up with 2 of these. Not that that's a bad thing. But this is thermostatically controlled. You can hear it click in and out right about at 20 degrees C. And that's telling me that the thermostat's working just fine. You put a line cord on it, back to 120 volts, and this is what's under the bike. Or well, it's identical twin almost, but this is what's underneath the bike. And I've got the bike that's under the cover. It's got a cover on it. Then I've got just a couple of large bath towels over that, and then I've got this sitting inside of a kind of a long, skinny box that is it's covered up with the same heat resistant insulating foam that I bought and used for the earlier project with the skid plate. So this is sitting inside of a box that's insulated with the fireproof foam, and I'll show you that. And I mean, there's really nothing to these things. That's why they're generally bomb proof. I just had a problem with a fan. But we're going to go out and look at the bike now and see what I've got underneath it. So on to the normal high-tech lab, which is otherwise known as my garage. Okay, now out here on the garage, I went ahead and took the cover off the Versys X300, and this doesn't look pretty, but it's functional. I wanted a little bit of insulation, a little bit of just a little bit of insulation from the ambient temperature in the garage, because I knew I was going to put the thermostatically controlled unit underneath the box. It's in this long box. This box is actually from the heat resistant insulated foam when I bought it. So we're going to go ahead and I'll peel all this out and get the box out from underneath the bike. Kind of a afterthought, but I'm going to go ahead and sandwich this video piece in with the others. It'd be a good idea that I talk about part numbers for these Hoffman heaters. This is a Hoffman heater. The part number is DAH4001, B as in Baker. And this is the first one I bought, which turned out to be had the dead fan in it. So paid $49.60 for it, some shipping, and they end up getting reimbursed, and had to buy a $10 fan to put in it to make it work. So that was my cheap one. In the meantime, while I was messing with all that, I bought this other one, paid $42 for it. Again, same part number, DAH4001B. This one was $42 because it was missing a knob, just a knob that's on the thermostat. I really didn't care about that. I found something here around the house, as you saw. That's the one that's under the bike. Or excuse me, that's the one that I have up on the on my workbench that I just demoed here a minute ago. So again, same part number, Hoffman Enclosures. And I went shopping on eBay like right now. And there is another one on here. It's used, same part number, 400 watts. They come in 100 watts, 200 watts, 400 watts, which I kind of favor because it's just big enough. And then it comes in 800 watts. And these used ones are way cheaper than new. These new are, oh my gosh, they start close to $400 and go up from there. So again, when you're talking Hoffman Industrial Enclosures, and then the heaters and all the other components that go into these industrial enclosures, where they house a lot of industrial equipment, controllers, all electronics, this stuff gets really expensive real quick. So anyways, on eBay today, there's one for $60, free shipping, and that's just about what I paid, I guess. But you can do whatever you want. I showed you some other choices, and go from there. Okay, this is my setup. It's just ultra simple. But here's my other unit. This is the one that had the originally had the fan that didn't work. Because it is so warm today, this thing is actually not on, or wasn't on when I pulled it out. And here's my, again, thermostat controlled button. You can hear it going on and off. It's working great. And I've been kind of sticking my hand underneath the bike here through the days, especially like today, and make sure that it's actually working. But I just got the whole thing just shoved under the bike. And I also actually have another little tiny heating element that I have just stuck up inside my skid plate. It's like 100 watts. It's just a little aluminum stick that just heats up to 100 watts, which is like a light bulb. So I mean, between these two, I don't want to go any higher than this because it does use electricity. But like I mentioned today, this thing is off. It's circulating air, which is also a good idea. But the 100 watt little stick under there, and then this thing here, when it comes on, it's 400 watts. But just to prove the point, this bike has absolutely no moisture on it, none. Even though I've had the door open here several times, and there was a good chance today with it starting in the 30s and then going to 57, 56. This bike would have been just dripping. And the same thing that happens inside your crankcase. You've got cold air and hot air that's mixing, and you end up with just condensation on the walls inside your crankcase and transmission and stuff everywhere, on the pipes, on the fasteners. Your whole bike, in other words, just kind of slowly turns into a ball of rust. So this winter's been kind of rough. And I haven't been able to do much with the X300, but this little project has been literally cooking for about 2 months. So anyways, from Dave's Garage, signing off, and we'll see you next time.